Happy Independence Day. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great weekend. I'm celebrating my Independence Day by having a damn good conversation with former COMELEC Commissioner Atty. Goyo Larrazabal on our subject, nationalism and the elections, brought to you by Living in Style. They're having a big mid-year sale happening at the second level of the Park Mall. Check it out, only until June 30. Thank you, Lala Move. 1 peso base fare delivery. That's right, folks. They have a 1 peso base fare delivery at Lala Move. Download the app. Also, thank you, Cebu Home and Builders. They're also having a mid-year big sale. It's also ongoing, but only until June 30. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Enjoy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Alive, my search for the best ways to live. I'm your host. My name is Jigga Jr., and my guest today is the former COMELEC Commissioner Atty. Goyo Larrazabal.
Good morning. Thanks very much for having me.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. I know, like I've been telling you, I've been asking you to be with the show, but you're very busy because you've been traveling everywhere. And finally, I caught you at the right time, at the right place. But I know you have to get a move on in a few moments. So
it's the perfect day.
Of course, yes. You need to catch this guy on the perfect day so that you'll have a chance to talk to him. Goyo, we're celebrating. Of course, today is June 12th when we're shooting this podcast. We're celebrating Independence Day. And, the nationalistic fervor is at its highest usually during Independence Day of a nation. And in this case, today on June 12th here in the Philippines. Goyo, how do you define nationalism?
It's love for country. Putting the interest of your nation ahead of the other countries. So I love the Philippines. I want the best for the Philippines. I want the best for Filipinos.
In this world in which we are so interconnected now, our interconnectedness is unimaginable for a lot of people. Let's just say we go back 20 years ago, we wouldn't have this kind of globalism. Thanks to the internet, of course. So we are so interconnected now. How relevant is nationalism now in a world where everyone is interconnected?
Well, being able to connect with others in multiple levels now is very good, but having a sense of nationalism or national pride is still very important because you're putting the interest of your country before the interest of others. So what does that mean? That means to promote the welfare of the Filipinos in the country and also abroad, to promote the economy, promote Philippine democracy. So yes, you can go to other countries, you can converse with other people from other nations. However, first and foremost should be the welfare and interest of not only the country, Philippines, but also the Filipinos.
There are a lot of global problems now that need the cooperation of the entire global community. Of course,
yes.
The environment, climate change is not something that can be solved from a nationalistic perspective, right? Because it is a global problem. The pandemic, you can't have a nationalistic approach to a global pandemic. It's got to be a global approach.
Yes.
How do you insert nationalism in a world in which its problems are becoming more global? And in fact, nationalism can be a hindrance to its solution.
Okay. Like for example, the pandemic, working with other countries to help those affected with the virus is important. However, nationalism plays a vital role or a pivotal role in the sense that you try to promote the welfare of Filipinos. What does it mean? By working together with other countries, you try to secure, like what we've been doing, vaccines for the Philippines. A majority of the vaccines that have arrived are donations from other countries. I think the purchases, the vaccines purchased are starting to come in. However, by working together with other countries to secure vaccines for the Philippines is also nationalism because you're working with them, but you are in effect promoting the welfare of Filipinos. You're using love for Filipinos. You're using your connections with other countries to make sure we have a better life for the Filipinos who've been affected by the virus.
How about climate change, attorney? How do you
Okay,
inject nationalism in a problem that is just global in scale and can't be solved from a nationalistic or a nation's perspective on a national level? I'm sorry.
okay. Well, when there's a Paris Accord, right? And we're part of that. Um, so we're part of a global community in trying to address the climate change problem. However, nationalism also plays a role, or has a part in it, by us doing something for ourselves in the Philippines to make things better. We don't expect other countries to fix the problems in the Philippines for us, right? So we have to fix it for ourselves. What does that mean? We have to fix our garbage disposal system. We have to fix the way people have the sense that they can just throw garbage all over the place. We have to fix the culture that we buy sachets, the plastic sachets, and after we use it, we just throw it away. Nationalism plays a role there in the sense that when you buy a sachet of, like, for example, shampoo or toothpaste, you don't throw it right away. You dispose of it properly, because by doing that, you're helping curb the problems in the environment. And that's a nationalistic way of looking at it, because you're helping promote the the environmental problem in the Philippines. Kasi, di ba, the Philippines is one of the top polluters in the world.
Number one, actually,
So, um,
when it comes to
by
plastic. I
loving
mean,
our country, yes, sorry, what? Sorry.
so whatever efforts that we do here in the Philippines is nothing if the world doesn't cooperate, because we breathe the same air as our friends in the United States, as in Cambodia, as in China. So
Yes.
whatever efforts we have here in the Philippines, we're the best at whatever it is that we do here in the Philippines. We totally and completely go from zero to hero as far as environmentalism is concerned. But that's nothing if the world doesn't cooperate.
Yeah, but I mean, say the world, if the world doesn't cooperate, but we have to do our own share and our part in making sure that things are better, right? We don't expect other countries to clean up the mess within the Philippines caused by Filipinos. So Filipinos have to do their own part in making things better, and part of that is acknowledging and recognizing the problem with the climate and the, like, garbage disposal. Um, and that is, if you don't love your country, if you don't love your community, if you don't love you know, if you don't have sense of pride in your community, in your country, nothing will happen. So you have to start somewhere. The change starts with me.
Attorney, in 2021, in this day and age, what is the best way for you, for me, to show my nationalism?
Register as a voter and vote on May 9, 2022.
I knew you'd say that.
That's the best way.
So, attorney, can you? I know this might be elementary for you and perhaps for me, but can you tell us, our viewers especially, how important is an election of a nation?
The elections is basically the core of any democracy. Having good elections is crucial in having a stable government. Uh, Elections is your way to tell the world that you have a say in not only our democracy, but also our future. Your vote, your future. Many people, kasi they will rant online and they will complain about this and that. But if they don't vote, their voice might be muffled. And the best way to make your voice heard is to vote on elections.
Attorney, I'm curious. How do you feel about our electoral process as a nation, and our democratic process as well? Because I know that an election is just one of the levers, one of the instruments of a democracy, right? And one of the most important, like you said, are the elections. How is our electoral process here in the Philippines, and how does it and our democratic processes sees as well here in the Philippines. A lot of people are getting a little impatient on the direction of the nation. Is it because our electoral and our governmental processes are flawed, or are we right where we're supposed to be? Are we going forward as a nation and becoming a better society?
Well, elections is a work in progress. In
Mm-hmm.
the Philippines, it's a work in progress. You don't continue. You have to continually improve things. You can't, since for example, you've had good elections 2010. You can't just say, "Hey, we had good elections 2010. That's it. Wala na yan." You actually, the best way to determine if your elections is getting better is if you have better elections compared to the previous election. So it's a work in progress. There's a lot of there's a lot of fake news in our
In the world.
election, and yeah, in the world, in the U.S. And other countries. Uh, and you know, the elections kasi is it's a never-ending process of trying to make things better,
Are we
and
getting better?
one
Are we
of the
learning
things
from our
which is
mistakes?
crucial. I think so. I think so. But there's it's a struggle because there's also a lot of people who churn out fake news and and um, misinformation about elections and the process of elections, and that needs to be countered. So it's a daily struggle to not only show the people that what's being done, but also to ease their minds, ease their concerns, and to make sure that the perception of the elections is credible. Because elections should not only be credible but also perceived to be credible, and that's a difficult task.
I'll go back to my earlier question, which I felt you didn't quite understand. How are we now as a nation in terms of a society? Are we there? Because I think the elections and our democratic processes are crucial in building a better Philippines, right? Are we getting there in terms of the general direction? Is this forward as far as our elections goes, as far as our democratic processes
We're
goes?
getting there, but we
Are
haven't.
we getting there? Yeah, you feel that we're getting there. Come on.
We are, but we're getting there, but it's still far off away. It's far off. No, I mean, say the goal we have. I don't know how far off from the goal we are,
Mm.
but we're getting there because it's a continuous process of small steps towards our goal, and that's a thrust of it, and you continually move forward, no matter how slow, but importantly, there's forward motion in reaching a better place for our democracy.
Attorney, I think I mentioned this to you before. I'll mention this to you again. There is a correlation between how progressive a nation is in terms of the economy, in terms of how people feel about their nation, and voting population. The more progressive a nation is, the fewer people vote. How do you feel about this correlation? And do you think the reason why there's so many Filipino voters, at least our percentages of voting in terms of population, is very high here in the Philippines because we're not yet a progressive nation? Do you think that a nation's uh, interest in voting dips once they are progressive? What are your thoughts on that?
I wait. I don't think so. I think it's based on the nuances of the particular country. Um, Voter turnout is not really dependent on how progressive a country is. It might be the circumstances in the country which might cause the turnout to be higher or lower. But it having a stable government because of a credible elections is crucial to how a country progresses.
And they're saying that for example, in the United States now, when they don't talk about the president that much, when the president is not in the headlines that much, when the government is boring, that means they're doing well. That means the nation is doing well. When the president is always in the headlines, when the president is always being talked about, well,
Well,
It
I
is kind
mean,
of
say,
chaotic.
yeah, I mean, say the president can be in the headlines every day, but it depends if it's for the good reason, for good or bad reasons. I mean,
Exactly,
say,
yeah.
um, look at President Biden. He's in the news quite often,
But
but he
yeah.
spews out good news and how the economy is moving forward, as compared to President Trump, who was in the news all too often, but for all the wrong reasons. So I think that's different. You have to determine why is he in the news, and why is, and the type of the news coverage about him.
But wala mo kay kisaw good on when it comes to Biden, unlike Trump, when you every day you would hear
Yeah,
about
because
Trump.
yeah, because yeah, because Trump. Yeah, but Trump had the way of saying really stupid stuff, controversial, and so that's why it's true that I would rather it be a boring government but hard working government, as compared to a noisy, controversial, but uh, out of sync government. But being in the news, the president being in the news often for good reasons is actually a good thing for the democracy, informing the public on what's happening, in uh, about the economy, about the healthcare system. That's actually a good thing, but it can be a bit boring
Yeah,
because if it's
exactly.
not controversial, di ba?
I don't
But
think media likes to catch or likes to talk about good stuff all the time,
yeah,
because I think bad news is good news.
yeah, well, it's not only that, because for example, if you have news about showbiz personalities, if there's good news about a showbiz personality, you don't really mind it. But if it's juicy uh, news about that showbiz individual, you pay more attention, and
Yeah.
that's the nature of things, diba? Just like
Yeah.
some people in the village, you don't really pay attention to news about your neighbor who did great, but if you hear news about your neighbor who did this controversial or scandalous thing, it spreads like wildfire. So that's part of it. That's human nature.
Attorney, we're celebrating Independence Day today as we shoot this video. What is your message to everyone out there, especially those who are kind of thinking about the elections next year, because next year is an election year? What is your message to all of us as we celebrate our Independence Day today, June 12th? Go ahead, Attorney.
Not every nation gets to celebrate Independence Day. Uh, we get to celebrate that, and it's actually we celebrate it, and it's also a reminder to us to value our democracy, and the best way to value our democracy and to recognize the role we have in this democracy is to register as voters and to vote on May 9, 2022. It's the best way to make your voice heard. You might rant on social media or to your friends or in the office or in Barcada, but if you don't vote on election day, your voice is muffled. So the best way to make your voice heard is to cast your vote on May 9, 2022.
On watching this video, Attorney, and they'd like to be a part of the process, is it too late for them to
No,
register
no,
and
it's
vote?
not. It's not. In fact, voter registration is ongoing in areas not under MECQ or ECQ, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. hanggang 5 p.m. Uh, so it's easy. You can register three ways. You can go to the COMELEC office and register as a voter. You have to bring two documents. One is proof of identification, which is a government issued ID with your address and picture. Second is your proof of residence, which is a probably billing statement or utility bill of your house or place you rent. The second way is to download the form, print out three copies back to back, 8.5 by 13. That's Philippine size legal folio, and bring it to the Comelec office. You fill it up, except the don't affix your three signatures and don't put your thumbprint. And the third one is you go to iris.comelec.gov.ph and fill up the online appointment form, and you go to the COMELEC office in the city or municipality you live in on this designated date and time. The first option is still the best. It's quick. There's a line. I'm saying there's a line, but you don't need to wait for the appointment on a particular date. Usually it's July or August now. So there are there are three ways to register as a voter, but at the end of the day, you still have to go to the COMELEC office and submit your biometrics. And after that, don't forget to vote on May 9, 2022.
So the online mechanism for them to register, there's still
Yes, yes,
a showing up process that you need to be.
yes, because that's the law, and that's the law. And aside from that, it's actually part of the security system. Why? Because when you go to the COMELEC office, you submit your biometrics, which is your face, your picture, your thumbprint, and your signature. So that allows a more thorough verification of the applicants who want to be voters.
Attorney, as a final question, how do you feel about the elections next year, and what role will COVID-19 play in the hearts and minds of the Filipino voters next year?
Well, it will play a role in because we assume that the pandemic will still be here that time, diba? I don't think 100% of Filipinos or 70% of Filipinos will be vaccinated, so we will not reach herd immunity. So that will play a role in people going out to vote on May 9, 2022. It will also play a role in how people view how this pandemic was managed and handled. Um, the good thing about elections, it allows the electorate to judge or grade the people they elect into office. Each election is a revalidation of the work you did, whether good or bad, and the electorate either gives you a thumb up or thumb down. If they give you a thumb up, you continue, they re-elect you. But if they believe that somebody else can do a better job, they put in somebody else who they believe is more competent. And that's elections. That's no one has a no one has a right to any office. Each elections a is a activity which, for lack of a better word, an activity wherein which the voters determine who they should have as leaders.
Okay. Attorney Goyo Larrazabal, if there's any thing that you'd like to announce or whatever, or maybe you can tell us how they can get in touch with you in the social media platforms, please feel free to do so. Go ahead, sir.
Um, the easiest way is Twitter, at Goy Larrazabal, GOY Larrazabal, at Goy Larrazabal. That's on Twitter. Facebook, it's facebook.com/Goyo Pinoy. And those are the easiest ways to get in touch with me.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Goyo Larrazabal, former COMELEC Commissioner. Happy Independence Day, sir.
Happy Independence Day, and don't forget, register as a voter, make your voice count, and vote on Election Day, May 9, 2022.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.